In today's video, I'll walk you through 5 simple ways to build a good credit score in Canada. If you play by the rules that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, you'll be able to build a good credit score within 3 to 6 months, even as a newcomer. Yes, I said that. The last step on this list is a step not a lot of people consider important, but very, very vital. So if you're looking to buy a house faster or buy a car as soon as you land Canada, or if you're generally just looking for a way to be in control of your finances, then this video is one video you want to watch to the end, okay? As immigrants, when we land Canada, we mostly focus on how to get a good job, which, by the way, is very important. We also focus on how to adapt to the weather condition and other aspects of life here in Canada. But we tend to ignore the financial aspect of things, which I believe is the most important, because the financial decisions that you make at the beginning will determine how well you'll be able to navigate other aspects of life here in Canada. That is why I am taking out time to talk about the financial aspects that are mostly not talked about, and also share my mistakes so that you can learn and make better decisions. I believe this video will be very relevant to both newcomers and those who have been here for a while, who are looking for ways to improve their credit score, okay? I'm sure by now you already know that it is important to have a good credit score in Canada, especially if you want to apply for a mortgage, a car loan, or other credit products in the future. It's also important to know that not only is your credit score important, but your credit history, right? So the number one issue here is that as a newcomer, you simply do not have the credit score or credit history at all when you land Canada. So even if you had like many credit cards from your home country, or you already had a mortgage, or you have been handling your credit score and history well from wherever, like whichever country you're coming from, it is important to note that those are not transferable to Canada, meaning that you are going to start from zero basically. So this means that you would need some time and a lot of patience to build your credit score from the scratch when you land Canada. We're also going to talk about how long this will take you to build, and we're going to talk about it in a bit, okay? But before we dive into the details, I just want to put out this disclaimer upfront. I always try to put it out in every financial video that I do. I am not a financial advisor in Canada. I had 10 years banking experience in my home country, but I have not explored that field here in Canada. All I am doing here is just trying to share my personal experience with you guys on how I've been using my credit card and how I built my credit history from scratch, okay? So guys, I didn't start on a good note credit card wise when I landed Canada. I made a lot of mistakes due to lack of knowledge, but I was able to correct those mistakes and build an excellent credit score. And it's not actually that difficult to do if you're intentional. And that is why I want to share with you guys some things that I did, and that you can also do that would help you start off on a good note, okay? So what constitutes a good credit score in general? Well, credit scores go all the way from 300 to 900. And according to this website, equifax.ca, credit score from 660 to 900 are generally considered good, very good, or excellent. Further differentiation will tell you that if your credit score is between 660 to 724, it's a good credit score. But if your score falls within 760 and above, is generally considered to be an excellent credit score. In general, as the website Equifax.ca says, there is no magic number to read when it comes to getting a better loan rate or terms, right? So in general, I would say if you're here, the first thing that you should aim towards getting as your credit score would be above 660, all right? Just get around that number and then work yourself up to a better credit score from there. You might also want to know how long it takes to build a credit score that would enable you buy a house or a car, especially if you want to venture into those commitments early. Well, let's look at what this website says here. This website is called thebetchwoodcredit.com. According to them, it takes 3 to 6 months to build up enough credit history to get a level credit score, because in the beginning you don't have any transactions yet, right? So there is no database which the credit bureau can sort of calculate your score. So it would take a few months, or rather like a number of transactions, until you have enough data for the credit bureau to make an assessment about the way that you handle your credit, right? Based on my own experience, I would say the time frame is relatively 6 months and above, and you can have 3 months. So it's between 3 to 6 months, but 6 months and above would be the most ideal situation. Okay, now let's get into the steps. Okay, the first basic thing that you must do if you want to have an excellent credit score or credit history. By the way, guys, if you found this video useful, or if you're enjoying the video so far, please, it will really mean a lot to me if you would hit on that like button and also subscribe. That would help the videos reach more people and would also help me know that you like this kind of videos. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first thing is getting a credit card. Most banks will give you a credit card when you open an account with them. So that is the first thing that you should do. It doesn't really matter what type of credit card that you get. The most important thing here is to start building your credit history as soon as possible. All right. I also found that one way to build your credit history faster is to have different kinds of credit products. Okay. For example, you can have a line of credit, right? This is a decision that you can take if you have like a high self-discipline. Credit cards can be addictive. So if you have high self-discipline, that is a product that you should really go for. The whole idea here is to show how credible you are. So if you have different kinds of credit products which all work in slightly different ways, then you are showing the credit bureau that you can handle different kinds of credits responsibly. Okay. Another credit product that would have an impact on your credit history is your cell phone plan. Yes, you heard me right. Your cell phone plan. Now you might be wondering, what has my cell phone plan have to do with my credit score and credit history? Well, if you have a cell phone with a postpaid plan, and note here that it has to be postpaid and not prepaid, meaning that you have to pay your cell phone bill after you use it every month, okay, like on monthly basis. Okay, that means that you are making a ton of regular payments each month to your provider, right? You also have to pay your cell phone bill on time, right? You cannot be late with paying those cell phone bills, and you have to pay in full. That is also a way to show the credit bureau that you are financially responsible. Very important. And that is why the moment that you arrive Canada, get a cell phone plan with a postpaid plan as fast as you can. That would help you start building that credit history faster. The second thing that you need to do to build a good credit score and good history, and I know this might sound like a broken record, but many people just don't do it, all right? It is to pay your credit card payments or loans on time, and ideally in full. Okay, please don't make it a habit to pay your credit cards late, even if you are 1 week late or a few days late, because that would really negatively impact your credit history. Also, don't make it a habit to just pay the minimum amount, you know, that $10 they would ask you to pay at the end of the month, because what will likely happen here is that every month you will have more expenses when you use the card, and the amounts will pile up, and before you know it, you will have this huge amount of debt that you cannot handle. Also, paying the minimum amount does not really mean that you are not charged interest on the background. So I used to think that if I paid the minimum amount, it means that I would not be charged interest, but that's not true. If you pay the minimum amount, you're going to still get charges, interest charges at the background. So you need to learn to pay in full. All right. So basically, to avoid this, or if you maybe forget, what I would advise is set up a reminder on your calendar. Of course, do not set the reminder on the day that the bill is due, or set it like 3 days or a day or 2 days in advance, or even 5 days in advance, so that you don't have to really worry about forgetting making those payments. All right. Even better, what I like to do is pay my credit card bills, all of them, in a particular week of the month. All right. For me now, I use my credit card as a debit card, meaning that I spend the money that I already have in my savings account, okay, or my checking account. I spend them using my credit card. For instance, if I maybe want to spend $500 on my credit card, what I do is I move the money immediately from my savings account or my checking account to my credit card, right? So in that way, I'm able to just spend from the money I already deposited there, all right? So in the eyes of the bureau company, I'm using my credit card and paying off on time. But in reality, I already had that 500 in my checking and savings account, but using the credit card as like a means of payment to build my credit history or to benefit from any other benefits and perk that I might get from the credit card. This really works for me, and that is what you should be doing. The third thing that you can do if you want to build a great, excellent credit score is to keep your credit utilization rate low. Now, what does that mean? Let me explain. Let us use an example that is demonstrated here on Canada.ca website. And in fact, they have a page here titled Improving Your Credit Score from the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada. So let's look at this example. Let's say that you have a credit card with a limit of $5,000. All right. In any case, never go above the limit, even though some credit card companies would allow you just use it temporarily. So just temporarily surpass that limit. But it's advised, please don't go over your limit. All right. So the best practice here is to use less than 35%, or basically to be safe, 30% of your available credit. Let's say that you have $5,000 credit card limit and your average borrowing amount is $500. The amount that you usually spend on your credit card on a regular basis is $1,000. That means that your credit usage rate is 20%. But if you have like a credit card with $1,000 limit and your average spending amount is around $500, that means that your credit usage is 50%. There's no absolute amount that you should or should not use, but rather what you should concern yourself about is the percentage. So percentage is the important thing here. So let's go further here in this example. So if you have a credit card with $5,000 limit and also a line of credit with $10,000 limit, then your combined available credit is $15,000. All right. And if you do not want to like exceed 35% of your limit, that means you should try not to borrow more than $5,250 at a time from both those products. By the way, in case you just arrived here in Canada, chances are that you are on your first credit card or you'd receive your first credit card, right? So that the limit for newcomers is usually, let's say, between 1,000 to 2,000. I think it's about that amount that they give newcomers. And if that is the case here, it means that ideally you should not be using more than $350 on your credit card, because when you have about 1,000 or 2,000 and 35% of it should be that amount that I just mentioned. Okay. If you're regularly using more than 35% of your credit limits, that means that you have a very high credit utilization rate, and it sends a signal to the credit bureau that you are a high risk customer. And that's a signal that you definitely do not want to send, out there. Now, let's talk about the fourth thing that you must do if you want to build a good credit score. And of course, credit history here in Canada. This was a mistake that I almost made because I was not well informed at the time. And that is to keep your credit accounts open as long as possible, even though you might not really need them at the time anymore. Just leave them open. And the reason for that is that one of the determinants of your credit card is the length of time for which your credit account has been open, right? So basically, if let's say the first credit card that you received when you landed Canada, you no longer want to use it again, you're tired of using it maybe after a few months, don't close that credit card. Leave it open, even if you don't want to use it, because that would determine the amount of time or the length of time of that card. Okay, take that advice from me. Now, let's move on to the fifth thing that you must pay attention to if you want to have a great credit score, and that is be careful with your credit check. Credit check is an inquiry that someone makes on your credit report. It's important to know that there's something called a hard hit and a soft hit when it comes to credit card inquiry. So you want to avoid having too many of these hard hits on your card because they would negatively affect your credit score. What is a hard hit? A hard hit is done on your account when you apply for a credit card from maybe another institution, and in some, but not in all cases, when you do like a rental application. And so a soft hit also usually would happen when you yourself ask for your own credit reports. All right. So in any case, when you apply for a credit, if you submit like a rental application, make sure that you ask whether this is going to be like a hard hit or a soft hit. Okay. Let me give you an example. You might be interested in several credit cards. Let's say you have like 5 credit cards out there in the market. They all have like a bunch of cool rewards, maybe cashback rewards and so on. So you think to yourself, why don't I even apply for another credit card? Or why don't I apply for all of these credit cards from these different different institutions all at once. That is a bad idea. Please don't do that. Don't do that. If you apply for multiple credit cards at the same time, what would likely happen is that you will have like a ton of hard hits, and all of those inquiries will appear in your credit report and will likely negatively affect your credit score. Okay, so apart from these 5 things that we just talked about here, there are several more things that you need to pay attention to if you want to build a great and excellent credit score, and of course credit history. If you're just doing these 5 things in a disciplined way, then you'll be off to a good and great excellent credit score and history in no time. All right, guys, getting your first credit card here in Canada as a newcomer might be something that seems very difficult and complicated, but believe me, it's not that complicated. Most banks in Canada offer packages, special offers to newcomers that will make your whole application process much easier. And a lot of these offers would also include your first credit card. So if you have any questions and comments, I would love to hear them in the comment section. Please leave them down there in the comments below. Also, if you're looking to buy a house in Canada, I'm not sure where to start, check out this video that I'll be putting anywhere here, where I broke down 10 important steps that you need before you buy the house. Guys, the steps that I evaluated in this video will save you from making so many mistakes that people make, and will give you like the real picture of what it's like to own a house here in Canada. Go check it out and thank me later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps the channel a lot. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and just as always, see you all in the next video. Bye. You're not letting me get through.